Your child cannot tell you what they need from you. Not in the early years, when language hasn't arrived yet. Not in the middle years, when they don't have the words for things this big. Not in the teenage years, when asking for what they need from you feels like the most vulnerable thing in the world. But they hope. From the very first days of life, in the wordless, pre-verbal, entirely biological way that human beings hope before they know what hoping is, they hope for certain things from you. Things that, if they receive them consistently, will shape the entire architecture of who they become. Things that, if they don't, will leave a specific kind of absence that follows them into adulthood in ways they may never fully be able to name. These are not complicated things. They are not expensive. They do not require a perfect parent or an ideal childhood. They require something simpler and harder than perfection. They require presence, intention, the willingness to show up in the ordinary moments with the understanding that those moments are not ordinary at all. This video is for parents of children of any age, from newborns to teenagers. Because these 6 things don't have an expiration date, they are needed at every stage. They look different at each one, but underneath the different expressions, the hope is always the same. Let's start with the one your child has hoped for since the very first day. 1. They hope you will come when they call. Before your baby has a single word, they have a signal, a cry that means, "I need you, I am here, come." And everything that follows in the parent-child relationship, every layer of trust, every measure of security, every belief your child develops about whether the world is a place where their needs matter, is built on what happens in response to that signal. When you come, consistently and warmly, something is deposited in your baby's developing brain. Not a memory, a biological expectation, the expectation that signals produce responses. That need, expressed, is met. That reaching toward another person works. This expectation, laid down in the first months of life, becomes the template for every relationship your child will ever have. It becomes the internal working model that says, when I reach out, someone comes. Research from John Bowlby's foundational work on attachment theory, later extended through decades of study at institutions including the University of Minnesota and Harvard, established that the security of early attachment, built almost entirely through the consistency of caregiver response to infant signals, is one of the strongest predictors of outcomes across the entire lifespan. Language development, emotional regulation, academic performance, mental health, the quality of adult relationships. All of it traces back, in significant part, to this. Did someone come when you called? This does not require perfection. Research by developmental psychologist Ed Tronick found that even the most attuned parents are in sync with their baby only about 30% of the time. The other 70% involves misattunement, missed signals, repair. What matters is not that you always come instantly. What matters is the overall pattern, that coming is what usually happens, that your baby can predict from experience that you are someone who shows up. Come when they call. At every age, in every form that calling takes. The newborn's cry, the toddler's arms reaching up, the 6-year-old tugging at your sleeve, the teenager who says nothing but sits near you in a way that means something. Come. That is the first hope, and it never entirely goes away. 2. They hope you will see them, not the child you expected. Every parent has, before their child arrives, an idea of who that child will be, a temperament imagined, a personality anticipated, a set of hopes and projections that are natural and human and entirely beyond the child's control. And then the actual child arrives. And the actual child is someone specific, someone particular, someone who may or may not resemble the child that was imagined, who may be louder or quieter, more anxious or more reckless, more sensitive or more stubborn, more interested in things you didn't expect, and less interested in the things you hoped for. The hope your child carries, often without being able to articulate it even to themselves, is that you will see them, the actual them, not the version you planned for, not the version that would be easier to raise, not the version that fits more neatly into the life you had before they arrived. Them, with all the specific, inconvenient, surprising particularity of who they actually are. This is harder than it sounds, because love for a child is so entangled with hope for a child that seeing clearly, seeing the actual person rather than the hoped-for version, requires a kind of letting go that most parents are never told they will need to do. Research on what developmental psychologists call unconditional positive regard, a concept developed by Carl Rogers and extensively applied to parenting, consistently shows that children who feel seen and accepted as they actually are, rather than as their parents wish them to be, develop stronger self-esteem, more authentic identities, and more stable mental health than children who grow up sensing that the real version of themselves is somehow a disappointment. The specific child in front of you is not a version of the child you expected. They are a person. Your job is not to shape them into someone you recognize. It is to know them, to be genuinely curious about who they are, to let that curiosity stay open, rather than collapsing into the simpler project of making them easier to understand. See them. The loud one, the quiet one, the one who is nothing like you, the one who is exactly like you in ways that are harder to love than you expected. See them first. Everything else comes after. 3. They hope you will stay when things get hard. Here is what your child is always, at some level, testing. Not deliberately, not consciously, but the question is running in the background of the relationship from the very beginning. Does this person stay when I am at my worst? When I am unreasonable? When I am difficult? When I am screaming at 2 a.m? When I am a teenager who said something cruel? When I failed at something? When I disappointed you? When I did the thing you asked me not to do? Are you still here? Is the relationship still intact? Is your warmth still available? This is the test of unconditional love. Not the concept of it, the lived experience of it. And it is administered not in the easy moments but in the hard ones, in the tantrum, in the failure, in the fight, in the aftermath of something that hurt you, in the moment when staying is the harder thing to do. Children who learn through experience that you stay, that the relationship survives their worst moments, that your love is not contingent on their behavior being acceptable, develop something that is genuinely rare and genuinely protective. They develop what researchers call felt security, the embodied, unshakable sense that they are loved not for their performance, but for their existence. A study from the Minnesota Longitudinal Study of Risk and Adaptation found that felt security in childhood, the sense that a caregiver's love was reliable and not dependent on behavior, was associated with significantly stronger resilience under stress in adolescence and adulthood. Children who had it bounced back from difficulty faster, they took more risks, they recovered from failure more completely, not because they had easier lives, because they had a foundation that didn't shift when things got hard. Stay. Not in every room, not in every fight, but in the relationship. Make it clear, through your behavior across time, that there is nothing they can do that makes you not their parent. Nothing they can be that removes them from your love. That the relationship is not a reward for good behavior, it is a fact. An unconditional one. And hey, if this is landing somewhere real, hit like and subscribe, because the next one is the one that most parents underestimate the most. 4. They hope you will let them fail. This one feels like the opposite of love. It isn't. Your child, from the time they first try to do something hard, stack the blocks, navigate a conflict with a friend, get through a difficult class, apply for something and not get it, hopes for something specific from you in that moment. Not rescue, not the removal of the difficulty, something harder to give and more valuable to receive. They hope you will believe they can handle it. That belief, communicated not in words, but in your willingness to step back, to watch them struggle, to not intervene before the struggle has had a chance to teach them something, is one of the most powerful developmental gifts a parent can give. Because what it says, underneath the stepping back, is, I think you are capable of more than you know, and I love you enough to let you find that out. Research from Carol Dweck's decades of work at Stanford on what she called growth mindset, and from Albert Bandura's foundational studies on self-efficacy, converge on the same finding. The belief that one is capable, the specific embodied sense of, I can handle hard things, is built almost entirely through mastery experiences, through having faced something difficult and gotten through it, through having tried something, failed, adjusted, and tried again. This belief cannot be installed by a parent. It cannot be given through praise or encouragement or reassurance. It can only be built by the child, through experience, through the specific, difficult experiences that overprotective love consistently removes before they can do their work. Let them fail at small things now. Let the consequence land. Sit with them inside it. Ask what they learned. Let them try again from that place. The child who has failed at things and survived them knows something no protected child does. They know they are capable. They know failure has an end. They know they are enough for hard things. That knowledge is not a gift you can give them. It is a gift you can only make room for. 5. They hope you will tell them the truth. Children are not as protected by comfortable lies as we want to believe. They sense more than we give them credit for. The tension you say isn't there. The difficulty you minimize. The feelings you perform instead of feel. The version of yourself you present that is tidier and more competent and less uncertain than the actual you. And what they sense, but cannot name, creates something in them. A vague feeling that reality and what they are being told about reality are not quite the same thing. A slight distrust of their own perception. A sense that grown-up life is something other than what they are being shown. Your child hopes, in the way that children hope for things they don't have words for yet, that you will be real with them. Not burdening them with adult problems that are not theirs to carry, but real, present. Honest about the things that are age-appropriately honest. The parent who says, "I made a mistake today, and I'm trying to figure out how to fix it," is giving their child something that no perfectly managed parent ever can. A model of what it looks like to be a capable adult who doesn't have everything figured out. A demonstration that difficulty is normal, that uncertainty is survivable, that asking for help is what competent people do, that falling short is part of the process, not evidence of fundamental inadequacy. Research on what developmental psychologist Daniel Siegel calls narrative coherence, the ability of parents to tell honest, integrated stories about their own lives, including their struggles and failures, found that this was one of the strongest predictors of secure attachment in children. Not the absence of difficulty in the parent's history, the ability to speak about it honestly. Be real with your child, in age-appropriate ways, at every stage. Let them see you struggle and recover. Let them hear you say, "I don't know." Let them watch you apologize. Let them learn, from watching you, that a life honestly lived is not a life without difficulty. It is a life where difficulty is met with presence, honesty, and the willingness to keep going. 6. They hope you will enjoy them. This last one is the simplest, and the one most often forgotten in the serious work of raising a child well. Your child hopes that you enjoy them, not just love them. Love is a given, a baseline, something that goes without saying. Enjoyment is different. Enjoyment is the thing your child can feel from across a room. It is in the way your face changes when they walk in. It is in the laugh that comes out of you when they do something funny, before you can manage it. It is in the moments when you are not parenting, not correcting, not guiding, not worrying about who they are becoming, but simply in the presence of who they are right now, and finding that presence genuinely delightful. Children who feel enjoyed by their parents develop something that research consistently identifies as one of the most protective factors in human development. They develop what psychologists call a positive sense of self, the belief, not reasoned but felt, that they are the kind of person who is good to be around, that their presence adds something to a room, that they are not a burden or a project, but a person whose existence is genuinely welcome. This is built in the small moments, the spontaneous laugh, the "tell me again" when they tell a story you've already heard, the getting on the floor to play something that has no practical value, the time you put everything down because what they were doing was actually interesting to you, and you wanted to be inside it with them. These moments are not breaks from the important work of parenting. They are some of the most important work of parenting, because what your child takes from them is not a memory of a fun afternoon. They take an understanding of themselves, one that says, "I am someone worth enjoying. I am someone whose company is actively chosen. I am not just loved, I am liked." Enjoy them, loudly, often, specifically. Tell them what you find funny about them, what surprises you about them, what you didn't expect and are glad for. Let them catch you smiling at them for no reason. Let them feel, in the way that children feel things before they can think them, that being in the same room as them is something you choose, not just something you do. That feeling, carried forward from childhood into every room they will ever walk into, is one of the most lasting gifts a parent can give. Your child cannot tell you these things, but they hope for them from the very beginning, in the wordless and entirely real way that human beings hope for the things they cannot yet say. They hope you come when they call. They hope you see them, the actual them, not the planned version. They hope you stay when things get hard. They hope you trust them enough to let them fail. They hope you are real with them. And they hope, perhaps most of all, and most quietly, that you enjoy them. None of these things require perfection. They require presence, the willingness to show up in the ordinary moments with the understanding that those moments are building something that will last far longer than either of you can see. Your child is hoping for you, not for a better version of you, for you, paying attention, staying present, choosing them again and again in the small ways that accumulate into a childhood they will carry with them forever. That is enough. You are enough, and they are hoping you know it. Subscribe to Mindful Parenting. We'll be here every week.